Hey everybody, it's Miss C. So, at this point in your artistic career, as far as our classes are concerned, you've learned how to draw some simple shapes and you've practiced drawing those simple shapes, and pretty soon you're going to have to start putting those shapes together in order to make artworks of your own, where we're not telling you where to put things. So what we're going to talk about today is something called composition. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the rules of composition. Now, composition is a word that we have run across before in our last quiz. And basically it is, if my pen will write, the act or action of arranging elements in an artwork to create an harmonious arrangement. So basically, whenever you have a picture plane, where are you putting everything to make it make sense and to make it look good? Because there are places, well, actually, let's talk about what that is. Picture plane. The area / surface in which you're making art. For the moment, my picture plane happens to be this box. It's where I'm working. This will be its own picture plane. This will be its own picture plane. Over here, my picture plane was the entire page of my sketchbook. Over here, it was this entire piece of black paper. Those are picture planes where you're making your artwork. If you happen to be making a mural, your picture plane might be a whole wall. And the act of composition is arranging where things are going to go inside that picture plane. Oh my gosh, I wrote picture and not plane. Someone get after me. I need coffee. All right, now, when you have a successful composition, you create certain effects. We call these the principles of design. This should also be a term that kids in our class have seen before because it was on our last quiz, just like the word composition. But principles of design is where we had a few kids have a bit of a stumble because while they wrote down the definition, they didn't actually read it any. So writing it down again is what you're doing today. So these are the effects that result from a successful composition. There is some debate as to what the individual principles of design are, though some of them are universally agreed upon. The ones that we want you to, in particular, to be looking at are these: unity, variety, rhythm, movement, balance, pattern, and contrast. So, principles of design are these guys right here. And again, there's going to be some debate depending on who you ask, but for the most part, these can be agreed upon as being principles of design. So as we teach you composition rules, that is things that you can literally check off by looking at your artwork, do I have this thing followed or not? What you're going to be also able to do is see if it's affecting any of these. Some rules of composition will affect these, some of them will outright create them. So we will be telling you what happens with what. Now, we're going to learn two today. And the first one we're going to look at is called the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is one that affects the focal point. Every artwork has a focal point. Your focal point is what most kids would consider the main idea of their artwork. It is the area / element. Remember, elements in an artwork are just stuff. If it's a dog, a water bowl, stars, anything that happens to be in your artwork, lines that represent wind, those are elements in your artwork. So the area or element of an artwork that draws the most attention. It can draw attention for a couple different reasons. Maybe it's biggest. Maybe it is a different color. Maybe it has the most detail. There's a lot of reasons why a focal point might be your focal point, but the fact is it's the thing that draws the most attention. Any artwork that doesn't have a focal point looks weird and pointless, like there's no reason for it to exist. And what the rule of thirds does is it moves the focal point out of the center. So here's what happens. You are going to make a picture of a dog. So you put your focal point, your dog, directly in the middle of the picture. And the point of artwork is that people come in, they look at your artwork, they study it for a bit, they really try and understand what message you're trying to send with your artwork, and they sit with it for a minute or so, and then they leave. When your focal point is dead center, they look at your focal point, and they go, uh-huh, and then they leave. They don't look. Now, some of you might be going, but I'm a terrible artist, and I would like that to happen. I'm telling you, for your grade, you don't. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide this page into sections. And if you look over here, you can probably make a guess as to how many it's going to be. So I'm going to give you some real blunt advice. I'm pretty good at making a guesstimation and being pretty close to having my boxes be even. But if you cannot eyeball this and make sure that your boxes are even, measure it. I'm not even joking. Now, to be clear, these are imaginary lines. They're not actual lines that exist. And if you do need to draw them specifically, then you want to draw them very lightly so that you can erase them later. For now, I'm just going to draw them in as some dotted lines. So here I go. This is 1/3 of my space. This is 1/3 of my space. And this is 1/3 of my space. Awesome, but I'm not done. I need to do it the other way as well. I'm going to turn it because it's going to make my life easier. All right, so I'm going to be about here and about here. I'm going to go dot, 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 dot. And again, I'm pretty good at eyeballing these. None of my boxes is particularly larger or smaller than the others, which means I'm successful. If I could not do that with just my eyes, then you would need to measure. That's 1/3, that's 1/3, and that's 1/3. Now, if I don't want my focal point here, you might immediately think, okay, I'll put it in any of the other boxes. Except when you put it directly in the middle of any of the other boxes, it ends up being a little too far. So what you actually want is the space between the center box and the outer boxes, which is the edge of the center box. Now there's two tiers of places to put your focal point. The first tier is right along where these lines intersect. So bam, 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 bam. This is the first best place to put your focal point. Now do be aware that your focal point can straddle two of these at a time. So for example, you're drawing a person on horseback. The person might be here and the horse might be here, but overall they are your focal point and they might cover two, and that's okay. But if you tried to cover three, what you're doing is you're just ending up right back in the middle. So it can only ever be a maximum of two. You can cover one, you can cover two with your focal point, but it should never be more than that. And it can be a little off of this point. You might be okay if your focal point is closer to right here or right here, maybe right here, but probably not, and right here. All of those are just fine. Now, that said, just because these are the best place, sometimes you want your picture to be centered in some way. There's always that kid that's like, but I want my thing to be in the center. Cool. There's a solution. The second best place for you to put your focal point is anywhere along the edge of that center box. So this is second best. So maybe you want your object to be centered, but we don't want it directly in the middle. So you can raise it up a little bit and have it sitting right here. Or maybe you want it to be down a little, so you want it to be right here. Or maybe you still want it to be in the middle, up and down, but you want it side to side. You could put it here or here. Those are the second best place to put your focal point. By putting it somewhere on the edge of this box, it's neither too far to one side or the other, too close to the edge, or too close to the middle. And it works out pretty well. Now, as I said, these are going to be things that affect the principle of design. So we're looking at right here, the principle involved is that this affects balance. It does not outright create balance, but it can determine what sort of balance you are looking to create in your artwork, or what kind of balance you need to use in order for your artwork to make sense. All right, so that's our rule of thirds. The next one we're gonna look at is a little bit simpler. It's called fill the space. And it is exactly like what it sounds like on the tin. It is talking about you actually filling up your space. There are two ways to do it. You can draw big, or you can draw a lot. But there is a caveat. We'll get to it in a minute. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to divide my space into two so that I can do one example of each. Bam. Over here, I'm going to draw myself a really big cube. It's going to be so big it probably won't even fully fit onto my space. Bam, bam, bam. Draw big. I'm going to give myself a little shelf that he's sitting on. Ha ha ha. He's drawn nice and large, and he takes up a good chunk of space. There's only a little bit of room around him. Or my other option is to draw a lot of stuff. So here's a sphere. I'm going to draw a pyramid right there. We're going to get a little cylinder going. And maybe there's a rectangular prism over this way. Just about to leave the page, like waha, waha, waha. So, or draw a lot. So I have many things that take up a lot of that space. Here's the caveat. A pattern does not fill space, at least not large spaces. So it's kind of like a wallpaper. I have my room back here behind my big box. And if I wanted to add a wallpaper back here, say stripes, that's cool. But the wall is still empty. It's just a wallpaper back there. In order to fill the space of my wall, what I need to do is I need to add something on top, like a picture frame. This guy, our big box, is acting a little bit like a picture frame for my picture plane. There's something on top of my background. There's a lot of kids that want to draw one small thing and then fill the rest of their space with a wallpaper. But a wallpaper does not work. A wallpaper cannot help. So, what principle does this affect? Now, it is not necessary, but sometimes rhythm. Rhythm can be affected. It is not 100% of the time. It depends on how you're drawing your pieces, but rhythm can be affected. All right, so that's all we're going to do in this video. We will do another video another day.